everyone, what's up? Now today we're going to talk about 3 tips to help you better articulate your voice. Now as a voice coach, one of the things that I like to work on is with my clients to help them with their voice. Now you have a powerful voice inside of you, but are you allowing it to shine forth? Now, too often I've heard many leaders say, well, is it a singing class? Is it a voice class? Is it a vocal class? Well, I've teach singing, I've done voice works before, but what I enjoy most is to let your voice shine. So today I'm going to share with you 3 tips that's going to really help you articulate your sound in a better way than ever before. Are you ready for this? Well, tip number 1, it's slow down. Slow down. That's right, you heard it right. Slow down. But Jedi, in your videos you tend to speak really fast. You tend to speak really punchy and fast. Well, what do I mean by slow down? When you want to articulate yourself better, you can speak fast, but you could actually slow down as well. So the ability to slow down allows you then to articulate your very words more and more powerfully. So for example, if I want to share with you my thoughts on a particular matter about life, maybe I said, hey, I want to tell you my story about my experience with a frog, my experience with a tree, or with my holiday experience. Suppose I want to share that. Now, the first step or first tip, slow down. Allow my thoughts to catch up before I articulate out. Too often, the speed of what you say, it's faster than what you think, and as such, when those two are not in synchronicity, what happens is that you begin to, I wanted to say this, but my mouth and my mind's not aligned. So to help yourself to train your mind and your mouth to speak in tandem, you want to first begin to slow down your speech to a point where your mind can catch up with what you want to articulate. Now, when you can find a nice sweet spot where what you think and what you say can come in alignment, that's where the beauty happens. You're consciously aware and unconsciously competent about the way you articulate yourself. So say, for example, I want to share with you about my experience on my trip to Colombia. Now, I remember one time when I was, I had a special invitation by a friend who says, Jedi, come over to Colombia, come and join me in this exciting journey. So I took a plane in the Singapore airport. I just remember the smell of the entire airport when I entered the airport. Oh, I love it because the aircon, the environment just reminds me that, hey, this is a totally different place. I'm going to let go of all that hustle and bustle and this little concrete jungle, and I'm just going to go off into a different land altogether. And the flight took me probably about 2 days, right? First, I flew from Singapore to Zurich, and then from Zurich to Panama, and from Panama, I was kind of lost. I was looking around like, this is the first time I'm at an airport where I hardly see anyone who could speak English, because most people were speaking either in Portuguese or Spanish, and I was looking around trying to find some help at all, but I couldn't. And finally I found my gate, and I realized, okay, that's my gate, and everyone was just looking at me because I was the oddball out. All right, I was the only Asian guy over there, and I was just wondering, is it going to be safe for me? What's going to happen, right? So, but finally I got onto the plane heading towards Medellin in Colombia. When I arrived, I was so glad. I met my friend there, and we began an amazing journey. Now, so say suppose you want to express a particular thought like that. So allow your mind to catch up and then say. Allow your mind to catch up, then you say. Because sometimes at the early stage of your ability to articulate well, you might be thinking, how do I make my thought? How do I fix my thought? Too often we try to kind of script down what we want to say, but the best way is to learn to slow down, that your mind can catch up with your voice, so that when you say what you want to say, it becomes clearer. In fact, in all my videos here, I just do it in one take. I just say from my heart, I just express from my heart, and I just speak to all of us and all the audience here who are following us on Coaching Changes Lives. Because what I truly believe in is, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Do we truly believe in what we speak? Right? If we do, then it becomes easier. Tip number 1, slow down. Tip number 2, find your cadence. Find your cadence. What do we mean by finding your cadence? Well, cadence is like a little tempo, a little rhythm. There's a rhythm in speech. If the rhythm of speech is always the same in the entire speech, it gets boring. Even if the voice sounds so nice, can you imagine if I tell you one thing? Long ago, there was a little boy who was traveling through the woods. And as he traveled through the woods, he met an unexpected twist. He saw a little fox hidden behind a tree. And behind the tree, there the fox was. And the fox was just looking around, trying to find food. And the fox saw someone else. Now notice this, I'm keeping the cadence the same. But if I continue this cadence, what will happen is that it gets boring to the ears. Why? The humanistic way of conversation flow is there's a pattern, there's a rhythm, there's a sense of height, down, moving up and down, moving up and down. What we call a cyclical rhythm in voice. So if every single thing that we say it's just up, down, up, down, up, down in a constant pace, even if it's pronounced and enunciated very perfectly, it gets boring after time, right? So what we want to do is to be able to find that cadence, that rhythm, that pace. So if the story is about that, the same story about the boy, and I want to create a little bit more suspense, a little bit more thrill into the whole story, I could say this, right? There was a story, that story of a boy. Now that boy, happened to come into the forest. He didn't know quite how he got there, but when he was there, he was trying to look for his way out. And as he was journeying in, every step of the way, he could only hear faint sounds that was crippling up his shoulder. He looked left, he looked right, and suddenly he saw, from the corner of his eyes, another eyes gazing back at him. Right there, he saw the eyes of an enemy. Now notice what I've just done there. I've altered the cadence in different pace, right? By doing that, I'm able to stretch. I'm able to create connection. I'm able to create the emotional engagement. Now, this is not about having a perfect Queen's English or not about having a particular accent. No, it's not, right? In fact, you can keep your own accent, whichever accents you have. That's fine. This is not about accent. This is about articulation, being clear in your speech. So, being able to control your cadence is one of the great factors in one of my tips here. And tip number 3, it's let your voice shine. Let your voice shine. I've coached so many people with the voice, and some of them say, Jedi, my voice, I don't like my voice croaked, it's just so ugly to hear. Well, I tell them this. Your voice is special. It's God's given. It's God's gift for you, right? And your voice, it's beautiful. In fact, I have one person who came to me before. I said, Jedi, can you change my voice because it sounds like a dark. I don't really like that sound. It sounds really, really creepy. Well, there are some technical things we can do to change the voice, but I want you to first be able to accept your voice and love your voice, because you have a voice, and that voice is special to you. And you know what? There's influence in that voice as well. Our voice has a unique element that carries our emotions, carries our spirit, carries our message across to the other party. In fact, every child that's born have a unique voice. We can kind of distinctly hear whether that sound is from our children or that sound is from another children. We can kind of hear in the midst of a crowd whether that voice is coming from someone that we know and someone that we're familiar with, or is it coming from someone else that we are not familiar with. So knowing this one thing, it's going to be important. Your voice truly shines. Let your voice shine. Let it come out, right? Because if you hold it back, it's just going to stay there. So for you to be able to articulate out, allow the voice to just come out naturally. Now that's when you begin to just be comfortable in your voice. Now, of course, the techniques, the strategies, the refinement can come after, but the very first thing is to own your voice, because you have a beautiful voice. And that's the beauty of speaking. I love to do one thing in our public speaking workshops. It's not about just getting out there, memorize a speech, and then bam, 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 and tell a joke. No, it's about being able to tell your story. And that's why my coaching program is called Brave Your Story. You have a story and a story worth to tell. And you know what? You might say that, Jedi, but who's going to hear my story? Who am I in the midst of all these things? You know what? Even if there's no one watching this video, who is my audience? I'm speaking to the audience of one. I'm speaking to me. As I'm speaking, I'm learning. As I'm speaking, I'm getting impacted by my own story. As I'm speaking, I'm becoming a better version of me. So even if it's not for the rest of the world, that's fine. You know what? I want to become a better version of myself. I want to raise the standards to brave my story, just to be me, just be who I am. I'm not trying to conform to the world of what the world says I should be or I should not be. I just want to be me, just be who I am. And that's the beautiful part of life. I want you to be just the way you are. I remember one time there was this song by Bruno Mars, Just the Way You Are. It's a beautiful song, right? About just letting go and being comfortable in your own skin. So there you have 3 powerful tips. Tip number 1, slow down. Tip number 2, find your cadence. And tip number 3, let your voice shine. Now share with me in the comment section below and say, hey Jedi, which tip you found it the most useful and most impactful for you? Let me know your thoughts about how this has helped you transform your voice. And if you'd like to have more coaching sessions with me, do consider writing to me at jedi@coachinggenerslives.com and get a session with me. Get a session to kind of work on your voice, because I know one thing is going to happen for you. Right? When you begin to work your voice, you're going to love it tremendously. You're going to impact many lives, but first, the change begins first in your life. Until next time, this is Jedi here at Coaching Changes Lives. I'll see you guys really soon.